afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA. On today's show, Kevin Durant says he wants to retire with the Rockets, but hasn't he said the same thing before? Meanwhile, the Mavericks could be forced to start Cooper Flagg at point guard. And did the Nuggets do enough to get back to the finals?
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to Locked On NBA. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app, thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg, and today we're talking about how the Nuggets can get back to the finals, and we're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
You know, most days, Wes, Haize is my tag team partner in Petty. We tend to agree. We have same sensibilities on a lot of things, but today we're going to fight.
That's right. Locked On Bulls podcast host. Also, Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report. Haize, did you bring your boxing gloves?
Yeah, for all those in the comment section that have been waiting to see Matt Moore bleed, today's that day.
Today is the day, and that's because we are debuting a new segment. We're calling it Make It, Take It. One headline, two takes, and then I decide who is the winner. And the winner gets first shot at the next headline, but to decide first shot at the first headline, we flipped a coin before we started recording. Haize, you called heads. It indeed was heads, but you decided to defer, which I think is a very interesting strategy here. So we've got three headlines that we're going to get to here. Matt's going to have the first take. We're going to start with Kevin Durant. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, Kevin Durant said that he wants to retire with the Houston Rockets, though he does admit that he said the same thing when he arrived to Phoenix a couple of years ago. Despite Durant's intentions, is this his best situation since leaving Golden State in 2019? Matt?
No, the Suns went to the 2021 finals. What are we doing? Like, they went to the finals and we're on track to be really great. And then all of a sudden, how many coaches got killed? How many coaches? Like, look, I don't think that's KD's fault, but it's one of those, it's like a weird thing where it's like a woman is around and it's like, yeah, it's really weird. All of her husbands died of mysterious causes. What bad luck. That's how I kind of feel with KD and the coaches. I have no reason to believe this team is actually going to be that much better. I think a lot of the hype is out of control on Houston, and we got to settle down a little bit. It's going to take them a lot of time, I think, to figure out what they're doing. Amen Thompson has looked as awesome as everyone has projected in preseason, but I'm still kind of like, yeah, show me in the regular season. I think there's more mouths to feed than people realize. I think this is a great spot, but come on, that Suns team had great coaching, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. They were great, and it didn't work out. That was a better situation than Houston. He couldn't get it done.
Yeah, but I think the situation is more than just the team. Like, let's be clear, this is a really good Houston Rockets team that's younger. That was a team that was a little bit older as far as the Phoenix Suns. But on top of that, like, situation, ownership matters too. And unfortunately, the ownership with the Phoenix Suns made stupid decision after stupid decision. Let's look at the stop since Golden State. He went to Brooklyn where he was given too much power. We know that KD isn't the smartest person in the world, so that wasn't a good situation because KD had too much power. He went to the Suns with a shaky ownership and GM situation that proceeded to make stupid roster decisions on a roster that was constructed pretty well at that time. So I can't say that that's a good situation. He's coming into a situation in Houston with a team that clearly knows their direction. They don't need Kevin Durant to define their direction. They need Kevin Durant to make it easier in the place that they are right now. But the future is still not based around just Kevin Durant. They are still looking at the other players and the men and Alperen Sengun and these guys to step up to make that path more straightforward. So I got to say, yeah, this is the best situation because you have the coach in Ime Udoka. You have a GM that knows that their path forward has to still be around their young players that are still ascending. I think it is the best situation.
So this is where I come in and make a ruling here. Both of you guys make really good points. It felt like every time Kevin Durant got to a new team, people were like, oh, this is kind of interesting, right? With Brooklyn, it was like Kyrie Irving, eventually James Harden. I think most of us were just sort of like, yeah, not as good as Golden State. Let's see how this works out, even though we thought the offense was going to be amazing. Phoenix, there were definitely questions about, well, did they give up too much to get Kevin Durant? I think they were good situations. I think those situations, I think Kevin Durant underperformed in those situations. I think it was definitely disappointing in those two times. But yeah, I got to give this one to Haize. I do think this one is the better situation. There's infrastructure. They didn't give up too much for Kevin Durant. Everybody's saying that, in fact, that it was a steal to get Kevin Durant. You're just sort of plopping him into this thing. And if you just kind of go by, well, you had Jalen Green, now you have Kevin Durant, that's a pretty good situation for a team that was in the playoffs last year. Make it, take it. I don't think you can defer now, even though we just made up this game, but we'll see what happens here.
I think you should let him defer. I think whoever wins should get their choice of whether they want to go first or second. I think you should let him defer again.
Haize, let's talk about Cooper Flagg, number 1 pick in the draft. Started at point guard in the Mavericks' final 2 preseason games, including last night's win over the kind of Lakers. They were sitting a bunch of guys on the second night of a back-to-back. But head coach Jason Kidd said he would not commit to him playing that role to start the regular season, saying, quote, "We have some time to make a decision," end quote. Haize, is Flagg Dallas's best option at point guard while Kyrie Irving is unavailable?
Man, that's a great question because, like, D'Angelo Russell is not a great option at point guard for anyone in the year of our Lord 2025. But at the same time, like, you're still trying to develop Cooper. And do you want to already move him at a position that may not be best suited to his skill set quite yet? I don't think it's a great situation for him to move to point guard. I think it's a great option that you have that, and there is some level of confidence in it to where it's even an option on the table. That we know Cooper can do a little bit of everything, but I don't think you want to make that move for Cooper quite yet if you don't have to. And I don't think that they have to at this point in time.
I think it's the best move for him. I think it's absolutely the best move for him. And a lot of this is because I have lower expectations for the Mavericks because D'Angelo Russell is their alternative at point guard. That's your alternative. The other thing here is, like, I worry about Cooper getting lost in the shuffle here, okay? If you don't play him at point guard and they're just bringing the ball up and dumping it to Anthony Davis or playing pick and roll side action with D'Angelo Russell and maybe one of the centers, or if they're running any sort of like other combo with Najee Marshall, whoever, you're going to risk Cooper Flagg not being used enough. And that kid needs touches. He needs opportunities. And even if teams are pressuring him, that's good for him. A little bit of baptism by fire for a player this good, I think, is a great thing. It will pay off long-term because you want him to be a point forward in the long term. I don't think that's what's best for the Mavericks for trying to make the playoffs, which I don't think they will anyway. So to me, this is like, look, give Cooper as much opportunity as possible. Do not let him get lost in the shuffle. You don't want to come out of this year being like, we probably could have done more to help Cooper. The best way to do that is to give him opportunities to learn. And that means accepting mistakes when he plays point guard.
We saw Jason Kidd do this with Giannis early in his tenure in Milwaukee, and everybody kind of raised an eyebrow at the time, like, are we sure we want to do this with Giannis? And Giannis to this day will credit Jason Kidd for putting the ball in his hands when he was younger. That allowed him to develop as a point guard. Matt, you're getting the point for this one. Points for long-term development there. That's really what we're talking about when it comes to Cooper Flagg. Our final headline here, boys. Show Murray the money. The Kings signed Keegan Murray to a 5-year, $140 million extension on yesterday. Murray, the number 5 pick in the 2022 draft, is one of the few two-way players in Sacramento's lineup. Is this a good deal for the Kings? Matt, make it, take it.
Yeah, man. Look, Keegan Murray was on track to be one of the best 3-and-D wings in the league before DeMar DeRozan showed up. I got to stress this. It's not DeMar's fault. I don't think DeMar is like a toxic player or personality. I don't think he's selfish. It's just, if you look back, go back to Toronto, go back to San Antonio, go back to Chicago. The second best guys on those teams, the third best guys, especially the wings, they all kind of vanish and disappear because the spacing gets jacked up by how often DeRozan operates in that high mid-range. Those are the kind of possessions I was worried about this last year. I said, look, Keegan's going to take a step back because of the spacing compound, the contraction that DeMar DeRozan causes. When DeRozan is gone, you're going to see Keegan Murray go right back up. 67th percentile last season in defensive EPM. You want the tape? Go watch him and how good he is at tracking guys over screens. He's versatile. He just needs to be within the right system. If you put Keegan Murray with a system that is more pass dominant, especially if you were able to have Domantas Sabonis and clear out some of those mid-range nonsense, you would be in a really good spot here. Keegan Murray, by the end of this contract, is going to look every single dime worthy of it.
The question here is he eventually going to make the value of the contract worth it? Is it an overpay right now? Keegan Murray's coming off one of his worst statistical seasons in his short NBA career, and you didn't have to extend him right now. You could have waited to see how it went over the course of the season. You have restricted free agency. You paid him $28 million when you didn't have to right now. And as much as you say that DeMar DeRozan is the reason why he took a step back, in games without DeMar DeRozan last season, Keegan Murray shot the ball 38%, from the field. That's not good. Keegan Murray's defense is legit, and he is a good and solid NBA player. The question isn't trying to make it that Keegan Murray's bad. He's not bad, and he is a young player that has a lot of upside. But paying him this right now, you didn't have to, especially at a time period where we're seeing that restricted free agent can actually be used to get yourself more valuable contracts. He's making the same money as Jakob Poeltl. He's making the same money as Trey Murphy III. He's making only a couple million less than Derek White. He's making only $2 million less than Tyler Hero. These are players that have more stuff proven to them. It wasn't the question on should they re-sign him or not. It's that the value that you gave him right now, he hasn't proven that value yet, and you didn't have to give him the contract.
So before I declare the winner of our first Make It Take It segment, I just want to say I do agree with Haize. Keegan Murray coming off of a career low. His three-point percentage has dropped every single year. He's never averaged more than 1.7 assists in a season. 98% of his field goals were assisted last year. This guy has needed a lot of help. But that's not why Haize is getting the points. Haize is getting the points because Matt Moore turned this into our entire segment about DeMar DeRozan. Again, instead of actually talking about Keegan Murray, Haize, you are the winner of Make It Take It. Congratulations. Coming up next, the Nuggets address their bench this offseason, but is it enough to get them back to the finals? It's coming up next here on Locked On NBA.
Rigged.
Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel has an offer you're not going to want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props. I've even followed live lines during games. The Dolphins are 1-5 right now, so not much riding for me as a fan this NFL season. But FanDuel makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little bit something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to Locked On NBA. The best way to support the show, as always, is to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We are continuing our team-by-team season preview series today. We're going to be talking about the team that Matt Moore covers, the Denver Nuggets. Matt, the same question we've asked all the hosts of the local shows. What is the biggest question facing the team you cover? What's the biggest question facing the Denver Nuggets this season?
Can they stop anybody? This team's defense was absolutely atrocious last year, and they performed a little bit better in the playoffs, but they have real issues with the fact that Nikola Jokic is getting up there in age. So his performance at the level of the screen, which is where he's most comfortable, is diminishing, which makes it easier for them to get it to the guy on the short roll or to reverse it to the corner. You give up corner threes and you're in real trouble. One of the reasons that David Adelman used so much zone last year was because he said this. He was like, well, if you can't defend in man, zone's a great option. That's worrisome to me. They keep putting Jokic in the corner of this 2-3 zone, and he just winds up giving up a ton of corner threes. You cannot win games when you are one of the best team or one of the worst teams at giving up open corner threes unless you're OKC and you have black magic on your side. So I am very worried about that. The other problem is like they don't get back. They just do not get back in transition. And that's a real issue because they're turnover prone with their passing offense. And if you're turning the ball over at a high rate and you're letting teams get out in transition at a high rate, it causes real problems. This team's offense is going to cook. They're going to be incredible offensively. They were third last year. That's the floor for this team offensively this season. They're going to be elite on offense, but the defense has got to improve. And that's going to take a lot of work from a lot of people, including the coaching staff this season.
Yeah, they're going to have to buy into team defense. You're going to need everybody to buy in because they don't have the individual one-on-one defenders that are going to like make or break the system. So you're going to get everybody to buy into what they need to do. And that's going to come down to coaching. I think when you look at some teams that have punched above their weight than what their defensive ceiling would look like on paper, it's because you have the communication. You have everybody, doing what they need to do to stay connected on the defensive side of the ball. And there's questions if the Nuggets are going to be able to do that and do it consistently this season. So I agree with Matt there. Like the defense is the question. The offense is going to be legit. I even think that this is going to be a year where the Jokic off minutes aren't going to be as bad as what they've had in previous years. Maybe that's just me buying into the hype of the changes and what they've added to this team. You got Valanciunas there as a backup center. This is a really, really good Nuggets team that can go far this season.
How big of a deal, Matt, is it that Aaron Gordon has been just dealing with this leg thing? He is easily their best defender, right? If he's out of that lineup, that feels like it could be a big concern.
Yeah, it's an issue, but I mean, from the people I've talked to, it's not like a long-term thing. But there's just not a lot of expectation this is going to hamper him throughout the season. It sounds like he should be fine. Now, Aaron's had shoulder issues, he's had back issues, he's had hip issues, and he's had knee issues because he plays a lot of minutes, he plays physical. So, like, he'll miss some time. But I'm pretty confident that AG is going to be right when the playoffs come, and he'll be okay to be able to do that. Now, to your point, the problem is, like, you can't rest him much. And the reason you can't is because look at their lineup and what they are missing. Like, Cam Johnson can play 4, but you don't really want that. And then the backup power forward options are not great. They've been playing Peyton Watson there, but Peyton's way more of a 2-3 than he is a 3-4. And so they don't have a lot of options. Durant Holmes, they kind of hoped would maybe take over that role. But Durant, I think, is a little bit behind schedule in recovery from the injury that he suffered in Summer League, his rookie season. So he's going to spend a lot of time with the Grand Rapids Gold in G League this year just to get his conditioning and kind of get back to where he needs to be on track. So they have a gaping hole at backup power forward. But if that's what we're talking about, I think you'll live with it.
Is that why we've seen them experiment a little bit with the 2 big lineup?
I think that's more reflective of where the league is at. Like, you're just seeing this pretty consistently. The Bulls threw it out there at them the other night. They ran Jalen Smith at 4 with Vucevic at 5 and Noah Senge sometimes at 5. Like, they were like, I think you're going to see most teams except the Golden State Warriors throwing double big lineups out there because there's just no longer kind of this idea that you can't space the floor effectively enough with how well the bigs are shooting or with your ability to kind of counter on the interior. They are still figuring out how that Jokic Valanciunas thing is going to work, and finding minutes for it may be tough, but I do think it's something that David Adelman's really interested in because some of the early results have been really good.
Our next question here for you, Matt. We'll know the Nuggets bench is fixed when blank.
I am no longer just absolutely disgusted at Nuggets games by watching a 13-point lead turn into a 5-point deficit. The bar is really low here. Now, in truth, last season when Jamal Murray played with DeAndre Jordan, they actually were like a -2 net. That's totally fine. Like, you live with that. The biggest thing here, I think, is just like it's actually more about Jamal Murray and his chemistry with Jonas Valanciunas. He's going to stagger again because the Nuggets don't have any real great ball handlers in the second unit. Bruce Brown can play point, but it's not ideal. So he's going to stagger again. And everything I've heard is that he and Jonas Valanciunas have like tremendous chemistry and understand how to play each other, which makes sense because Valanciunas is more similar to Jokic than a lot of centers. He's not Jokic. Nobody is. That combo should be really good. And that provides you a baseline. They're also going to have more of an identity in dumping the ball down to Valanciunas in the post and letting him score. That buys you time, which is all you really need to do. You need to stretch those minutes out. Play defense, play slow, and just stretch out the 8 minutes that you got to get through each half without Jokic.
Yeah, I mean the bench unit of it's going to be interesting. I think they have some pieces that could work there. And if the Nuggets can avoid Matt Moore being disgusted at them, that's just always a good thing. We don't want Matt Moore disgusted on post game shows, so that's just not good for anybody. But I'm surprised, Matt. Like, so how do you feel about this bench versus where it left off last season? How much have they increased your faith in the bench while they moves?
Night and day, because like Cam Johnson, you can just stagger way more easily with the second unit and use him as an on-ball weapon. Can't do that with Michael Porter Jr. And that made things, I think, really difficult. I love DeAndre Jordan. I loved covering him. He was one of my favorite guys to cover in the league. But like DJ was at the end of his career. And so Jonas is still very much able to come in and do things. Like he can operate out of the high post and you can run some of the stuff with Jokic with DHOs. That makes things easier for Julian Strother and those guys. Bruce Brown is such a lift for this team in terms of his versatility and just having him in the locker room. Like it's night and day because like everybody they did not have enough guys. They just didn't, which is why Westbrook played such a big role in the team. And we know that Westbrook comes with high highs and low lows. This bench is just a lot more solid. Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to give them just veteran competency, and they have some guys that might be able to hit in Jalen Pickett and Julian Strother. I feel very good about the fact that I think this bench is going to be not one of the best in the league because I don't think it's possible with the money they have available, but it's going to be very solid. I expect it to be better than a -2 per 100 possessions, which is great for a team with the top heavy cap sheet that the Nuggets have.
Haize, we know where you stand in the Western Conference, right? You have the Thunder number 1, you've got the Rockets number 2, but is Denver in that tier? Are they in that same mix after what they did this offseason for you?
Absolutely. The Denver Nuggets are right there. I like the Nuggets because of their defensive ceiling. I mean the Rockets because of their defensive ceiling. The Nuggets, though, like they have Jokic. That's right there is going to put them on. They have balance to their team. I love the Cam Johnson acquisition. I was down on Tim Hardaway Jr. last year, but he played a pretty solid role for that Detroit Pistons team. There's no reason to think he can't here. The Nuggets, I would not be surprised if the Nuggets possibly can end up with the second best record in the Western Conference.
Wow. Over the Rockets.
I mean, I don't think that this, like, we got to be, again, Houston's great, but like we got to see more from them before we get there on Houston being elite.
Speaking of teams we need to see more of, we are almost done with our team by team previews. We saved one of Matt's favorite teams for the final couple of days. The Washington Wizards are next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting, but getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe you your serveware needs a refresh, or the guest room could use some new bedding. Wayfair is everything you need to get your home holiday ready. From Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables, it's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection of every style and budget. And with free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. I love how easy it is to find pieces that fit my style and my budget. Everything was in one place. I checked out with a breeze, and delivery is fast and free, which was a lifesaver during this busy time of year. So get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games, but let's be real, getting tickets could be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay, no hidden fees at checkout. Plus, I could see exactly what my view looked like before I bought the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. So, take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team, so check out Locked On Rockets, Locked On Mavericks, and Locked On Kings for more on today's top stories. You can also check out Matt over on Locked On Nuggets for a deeper dive into everything going on in Denver as the season approaches. You could also check out our friends over at Locked On Wizards if you, like Matt, love this team enough to listen to a podcast about them every single day. Let's talk about, though, these Washington Wizards. Not a lot of national shows are doing this, guys, but we are. Matt, it seems like you're planting your flag on this team, at least as one of your League Pass faves. Before we get into the host of Locked On Wizards and what he has to say about this team, I wanted to clear out and just give you a chance to state your case for being a Wizards fan this season.
Yeah, so I think it's just mostly about, I like getting in on teams at the very bottom because I just think that teams are very rarely as bad as we think they are. And this team does have like a lot of NBA talent. They've got a lot of exciting young guys. And we kind of saw, I love the way that they played last season after the All-Star break before they went full tank mode. And that was not a long period of time, but it was a couple weeks. And when I caught them and I watched them, I was like, you know what? Like, they're pretty good. Not good, but like fun. Like they were enjoyable to watch. Because for me, a lot of it is like, do you look like you know what you're doing? That goes such a long way in the NBA. You can be talented, but if you don't look like you have any idea what you're doing, like the early Devin Booker teams, it is a miserable watch. And this team looked like they knew what they were doing, which was really impressive. Keyshawn George is a guy that like nobody knows. And he is a guy that really is great on the defensive end. He's extremely versatile. He makes smart plays. He's a guy that you can identify and be like, that guy makes winning plays. Over the long term, he's going to be one of those guys that you wind up being like, you know who's really good is Keyshawn George. Love Bub Carrington. How do you not love Bub Carrington? They've got Chris Melton and CJ McCollum, so they have some veterans. I don't know how long those guys are going to be there, but they will get those guys organized. And I like that relationship of watching a young team learn how to win. Tristan Vukcevic is on their two-way contract. I love this guy. Like, I have no idea why he's on a two-way contract. He's so much fun, and he's really good, and he's really efficient. I like some of their marginal guys more than I like the guys at the top, like Bilal Coulibaly and even Alex Sarr, though I thought Sarr had some really good stretches last season and is getting a little bit better every day in the preseason. I mostly like this because these are the type of teams where everyone's going to be like, no one on that team is good. And that's not true. You're going to want to look up in 5 years and you're going to be like, wow, a lot of these guys that were on that Wizards team are actual contributors. A lot won't be, but I like getting in and seeing these guys grow with this kind of system, and they're gritty, which I really like watching.
So there are a lot of names that you said there, Matt, and we did ask Locked On Wizards host Ben Strober about those names and the biggest question facing this Wizards team this season.
Ben Strober here with the Locked On Wizards podcast. The biggest question surrounding the Washington Wizards this year is, what do they do about this log jam they have on the wings? You have so many different players that can play pretty much 2 through 4 on this team. It's going to be really tough to see how they rotate the minutes around for everyone, because you have a bunch of young players here that need to get an adequate amount of minutes. But are there enough to go around? Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, Chris Middleton, Will Riley, Corey Kispert is still here. And then Cam Whitmore gets traded for. He's one of the guys that everybody is so high on because he had his flashes in Houston over his first 2 years, didn't really get a fair opportunity. Now everyone feels like his role is going to expand now that he's here in DC. Is that going to be the case, though? What's the lineup going to look like opening night, and how often is it going to change throughout the regular season? Because it's evident that it's going to. Guys are going to get moved around, and you might even see some trades happen at some point. It's definitely one of those years. What's going to happen at the wing?
Haize, do the Wizards almost have a Nets-like problem of having too many young guys at the same position? Oh, muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think in a way, yeah, they have a lot of players that all kind of are overlapping at the same position, but at the same time, where the Wizards are right now, you want as many bites at the apple as you can take, and then see who's going to develop, like breed competition in there. They have a lot of talented players, and I think the talent is the most important thing. Whether there's some overlap of talent or not, like you want some of that now in the NBA anyway. So they have repetition there, but slowly but surely they've built this young roster that is exciting. I'm not as in on them as Matt Moore is, but I can't deny that they have some really intriguing young talent on this roster.
Matt?
I mean, look, I want to be clear here. The Wizards pick is top 8 protected. Otherwise it goes. They got to be one of the 5 worst teams in the league. I'm not going to sit here and be like, who could make the playoffs is the Washington. Like, I'm not insane. But I do think that I think if you're a real NBA fan, I do think that it takes more than just watching the national TV games and watching the Lakers 75 times a season. And I think that there's stuff to gain from watching these type of teams and watching guys who are outperforming kind of what it looks like. Because there's oftentimes teams that look good, but if you kind of dive in, you're like, they're not that good. I'm always looking for that gap between teams that on the surface look bad, but when you get into it, like, not that bad. And teams that look good, and when you get under the surface, good. Those are the most interesting teams to me. And I think that this team is one of those really interesting teams. Talk about the wing kind of management. I think it's actually great because there's no competition for Alex Sarr. Like, there's nobody that you're going to be like, oh man, he's going to have to battle for minutes. It's him and then Vukcevic off the bench. And that's basically your centers. Keyshawn George is a wing, but like, he's listed at power forward. He's 6'8". He can play power forward. And I think in this NBA, while a lot of teams are going double big, you can kind of get away with like, hey, let's play small and see what this looks like, especially if you can be the type of defensive team that I think that they're capable of being, which is, again, not good, but top 20 in the league. That's all I'm looking for out of the Wizards, is to creep into the top 20 in defense.
So they are a long way away from being in the playoffs. We all acknowledge that. But we did ask Ben to zoom forward a little bit. Fast forward, who among these young players on the roster does he expect to start in Washington's next playoff game?
Ben Strober here with the Locked On Wizards podcast. The question at hand, Sarr, Bub, Bilal, or Tre? Who starts in the next Washington Wizards playoff game, whenever that may be? The answer right now to me, it's Tre Johnson, the number 6 overall pick in this past draft. I think he's going to turn heads in his rookie season. A serious candidate, I think, could make a push for the Rookie of the Year award. Everything we have heard from him about his mentality, his physical presence, everything has been nothing but super positive things. Yesterday at Media Day, all of his teammates and all of the coaches could not stop talking about him, how he is basketball obsessed. He's such a maniac that he does not have any other hobbies outside of basketball. He's been that dedicated working on his craft, multiple workouts a day. I think he has the exact mentality you need to be a great player in the association. His shooting ability as well is going to make him such a key piece of what Washington is trying to build here in the future.
Preach, preacher. I love it. Look, Tre, how about preseason, okay? A lot of kids cannot shoot in preseason, by the way. I am deeply concerned about Jeremiah Fears. 44% from the field, 40% from three from Tre Johnson. No adjustment to the NBA competition level and contest level at all so far in preseason. It's preseason. 3.9 assists per 36 minutes to 2 turnovers. Kid's a dog. I'm telling you, man. Like, I like him as a long shot at FanDuel for Rookie of the Year. If there's gonna be one thing this season that gets people to like start paying attention to the Wizards and join me on Wizards Island in the Wizards Hive, it's gonna have to be Tre Johnson, because I think he's the only guy that's got real superstar capability on that team.
Tre Johnson's upside is absolutely ridiculous. I was so glad that he went to a team, you know, that he's going to be able to really display that and grow that in the Washington Wizards. He's going to have kind of the green light there as far as the score. His upside scoring wise is crazy. He can do it off ball. He can do it on ball. Like I don't mean to like overhype it, but like if anybody turns into like a top 10 scorer from this draft, it's going to be Tre Johnson.
Yeah.
Nobody is talking about the Wizards on a national level like we are here, boys. I mean, so happy that we got that preview out of the way. If you like what you heard today and want to join us on Wizards Island, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more Locked On NBA.